Hi, I'm Kazul of Kazplay, and I know that BlizzCon has been over for a few weeks, and I haven't posted a video in a long time, and as you can see, Greyman's all the way done. But I did get some footage of the furring of the face video that I know a lot of people were curious about, so I wanted to show that footage. It was completely crazy the weeks leading up to BlizzCon. I was in complete lockdown crunch mode, and I didn't have time to assemble any videos, but now that I have time, I want to show you the footage so you can see the process. So let's go.
So to start off, I lay down a layer of plastic wrap across my piece and start putting pieces of masking tape on there. This is just to capture the shape and of the areas that I want the fur to be on. Next up, I have to mark the places, especially with the arrows for the fur direction and what type of fur I'm going to be using in the area, and where they are, so that when you cut them out, you know right where they go again. And then starts the long process of cutting out the pieces from the fur. I use two different lengths for this part. There's a really long one and a shorter one that's still pretty long. And you can see that, I don't know if you noticed, but I did have the pieces upside down from like where my markings were. I had to turn them upside down to be able to cut them out. Then I'm hand sewing it together. I like to hand sew the seams on the faces to keep them a little smaller than what you can do with a machine. I just think it turns out a little nicer. You can definitely machine sew them if you want. But I don't know. I think speed hand sewing looks pretty neat. All you gotta do is turn on a good show on Netflix and sew away for a little while. So now I'm putting it back on the face, making a few adjustments, making sure it fits. I'm pinning it into place, tucking things, making sure it all fits, trimming some things down. And this next part, I'm going to move on to the face. Now, I didn't need to make a pattern, particularly for the face part, because I'm using a special fur called NFT. It is made by National Fiber Technology. They're the only people in the world that make stretch fur. So this fur has a 4-way stretch, and it's incredible. It's incredibly expensive, too. This piece I got on a sale. It was about $27 for a 1 square foot piece. Now the pieces didn't come in a square foot. It came 36 inches long by 4 inches. So I had to make a slight adjustment. You can see I had to do the around the eyes and then the muzzle in a different piece. It worked out okay with a little trimming and gluing right up along the edge. It was able to match up okay. But I wanted the stretch fur so that I could get it into all the contours of the face. That was important to me. I didn't think I could get that fine of detail with the snarls with just sewing darts into it, so I went with the stretch fur. Next up, I'm making a pattern for the ear. You see I put plastic wrap on both ears, but I ended up being like, hey, the ears are the same, so I'll just flip the pattern. So again, using the two furs, the really long one and the other like 1-inch one, sewing those together and quickly sewing them and assembling it. Now I have the longer fur curled around to go on the inside of the ear. They look really fluffy right now. I will be doing some trimming, as later you'll see, but just slowly gluing those into place. I took some thinning scissors and thinned it out just a little bit. But the next part you'll see I'll pull out some electric clippers and really do some shaving. all glued down and cut. There we go, sitting over a garbage can, shaving the ears. This part is good to take your time on. You really want to get that shape down, and the ears, like, I didn't want to cover up all those cool details that I sculpted.
And about this time, the jig that was holding my GoPro broke, and I was so busy finishing this that I didn't have time to fix it. So that's about all the footage I got, and I apologize I didn't get the whole thing like I wanted. But I'll just kind of talk a little bit more. Shaving, because that was the last thing you saw in the footage. Shaving is very important, and I ended up doing shaving kind of all over. I trimmed his beard, shaved even this really short NFT on his face. The ears, trimmed them a ton. And like, fur in the wild on animals isn't all the same length everywhere, so I especially trimmed around his eyes because that area can get muddy if left long. So I trimmed around his eyes, nose, the mouth line, all very important. I shaved down some length on the muzzle part to help define these snarl lines and everything. But the shaving is very important. It's like the final touches. It's the fur adds a lot of bulk, and so when you're shaving it, it's like the final level of sculpting. So you've got to make sure that it follows the contours correctly like you want them to. And I know I didn't get any footage of creating the mane, but I'll kind of explain how I did it. After I got the face all furred and the ears attached and stuff, I had my husband put it on and sit there, and I took an old cut-up sheet and I basically pinned around the neck area and kept pinning and tucking and like tucking and pinching different areas until I got the fit right. Then I was able to transfer that pattern to the fur, cut it out, and sew it on. It was pretty easy, but there you can see. But one trick I did with the mane, so you can see all fur has a direction, like a natural way that it wants to lay, and you can see the bulk that it adds. But since I wanted his mane to be super fluffy, I actually reversed the way the hair flowed, so the fur direction naturally wants to go this way. But I laid it down and you can see how much more fluff you get. So his whole mane was put on backwards with the fur direction just to make it extra fluffy. And you can see like his mane right there, it wants to lay this way, but I have it laying back. So that's a trick that you can do to make things fluffy. So there you have it. I hope this video sheds light on the process of furring a face of a fursuit head or any other kind of projects if you need it. And I hope it helps you out in your own projects. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to answer them. I may just gather them up and do a frequently asked question video in the future. And I definitely want to do like a more in-depth video tutorial showing how to do this better. I know this was just like a time lapse of me talking over it. I could do better, and I want to in the future. So next up, I want to do a wrap-up of Greymane with my husband, kind of like a post-mortem, talking about some problems we had and what we ran into, and finishing it and how the convention was, because it was a blast. And maybe a clip of a suit-up video, videotaping my husband putting it all on so you can see what goes into it. And then after that, I plan to do a tutorial on how I did the eyes specifically, like a good tutorial. And because I know a lot of people have been curious on how I got that look. So if you saw what you liked in the video, please feel free to subscribe, leave a comment asking for what you would want to see in the future. I'd love to hear that because I have many great plans for this channel and want to keep producing content. So that's it for today. I'm Kazul, reminding you to embrace your inner beast.